Welcome back to the Linux for Beginners series. In our previous video, we learned how Linux systems communicate over a network. Now let's answer an important question. Once we know the IP address of a Linux server, how can we securely connect to it and manage it remotely? That's where SSH comes in. SSH is one of the most important tools used by Linux administrators, DevOps engineers, and SREs. In this video, we will understand what SSH is, how it works, how to use it to securely access another Linux system. SSH stands for Secure Shell. It allows us to log in to another Linux computer over a network securely. Instead of sitting in front of the server with a keyboard and a monitor, we can administer it remotely from our own computer. Imagine your Linux server is in another room, another office, or even in a cloud data center thousands of kilometers away. Traveling to that location every time you will need to make a change isn't practical. SSH allows us to securely manage the server from anywhere on the network. Examples are to restart a service, install software, check log files, copy files, troubleshoot problems, etc. Almost every Linux administrator uses SSH every day. SSH communication always involves two components. The SSH client is the computer that initiates the connection. The SSH server accepts incoming SSH connections. For example, in today's demonstration, my laptop acts as the SSH client while my Ubuntu virtual machine acts as the SSH server. Let's understand what happens behind the scene. In step 1, the client sends a connection request. Step 2, the server asks us to authenticate. In step 3, after successful authentication, SSH creates an encrypted communication channel. In step 4, all commands and responses travel securely through this encrypted connection. Unlike older protocols such as Telnet, SSH encrypts all communication. By default, SSH listens on TCP port 22. Whenever we connect using SSH, our computer connects the server on port 22 unless another port has been configured. In enterprise environments, administrators sometimes change the default port for additional security, but port 22 is the standard. This simple workflow summarizes how SSH is used. First, open terminal. We start from our local terminal. SSH command. We specify the username and the server. Authentication. We provide our password or SSH key. A remote shell. Now we are working on the remote Linux system. SSH-B in caps display the installed SSH client version. SSH user at host. This is the command you will use most often. SSH-P use this if SSH server is listening to a custom port. Don't worry about remembering every option today. We will continue building on SSH in the future videos. SSH is already very secure, but following a few best practices makes it even safer. We will learn the SSH key authentication in a dedicated future lesson. We should use strong password because weak passwords can be easily compromised. We should prefer SSH keys instead of passwords. The root login should be disabled on the server and everyone must use their own user to log in to the server, and if they need administrative access, sudo should be enabled for them. Keep OpenSSH updated so that security vulnerabilities don't affect the system. On the left side is the terminal of my laptop and we will use it as a client machine. On the right side is the virtual machine we have been working on and we will use it as a server. Let's first check whether SSH client is installed. The command is SSH-B in caps. We can see that SSH is installed. The server must be running before another computer can connect. To verify, the command is systemctl status SSH, and we can see that SSH service is not installed on the server. If the SSH server is not installed, We can install it using the package manager. And the command for that is sudo apt install open ssh-server. Click yes to continue. After installation, let's start the service. For that, the command is sudo systemctl start ssh, and let's verify the status of the SSH service. Now we can see that the SSH service is active and running. This tells us that SSH server is ready to accept incoming connections, and it also reinforces what we learned in the previous lesson about systemctl. Now let's find the server IP address. The command is ipaddr, and the server IP address is 192.168.1.244. To connect remotely, we need the server IP address, and this is the address the SSH client will use. So on the client machine, we will use the command ssh student at 192.168.1.244. The first time we connect, the SSH asks us to verify the server's identity. The IPS to store the server's fingerprint. Future connections won't ask this question unless the server's identity changes. In this command, SSH is the SSH command, student is the username on the remote server, @ separates username and host. 192.168.1.244 is the server's IP address. Now enter the password of the remote user. Notice that while entering the password, nothing appears on the screen. This is normal behavior in Linux. How do we know we are actually working on the remote machine? To verify that, we can type hostname command, and we can see that the output shows student-lab-vm. This confirms we are connected to the server, that is our virtual machine on the right. The hostname has changed, confirming that this command is executing on the remote Linux system. Whoami shows the current logged in user, that is student. Print working directory, we can see that it's /home/student. We can list the files and directories also. When we are finished, we can simply type exit. The remote session closes, but the server continues running. Let's look at some common issues beginners face. First is wrong IP address. Always verify the server's IP using IP space addr command. Second mistake is SSH service not running on the server. Use systemctl status SSH command to validate the service is running. Wrong username. The username must exist on the remote Linux system. Next mistake is firewall is blocking the port 22 on the server. The SSH port must be accessible. Here is a quick reference of today's commands. You can pause the video if you would like to note them down. Let's summarize today's lesson. SSH stands for Secure Shell. SSH provides secure remote access. It encrypts all communication. The default port is TCP/22. An SSH client connects to an SSH server. Most Linux administration is performed using SSH. Now that we can connect to another Linux system, the next logical step is learning how to securely transfer files between systems. In the next lesson, we will explore SCP and SFTP commands. Thank you for watching. If you found this lesson helpful, please like the video and subscribe to follow the complete Linux for Beginners series. And I will see you in the next lesson.